What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming at you today with some more Destiny. And we are on Venus. I'm going to run a couple of patrols here and do a little game commentary. Now, if you guys remember yesterday, I put up a video basically talking about the speculation regarding the House of Wolves expansion release date in response kind of to the IGN article that came out. You know, a lot of people were talking about the House of Wolves DLC was going to be pushed back until May. Well, we did get a few tidbits from Bungie today. Deej came out with his weekly update today, which normally drops on Thursdays, and I will link to that update down below. But he offered us a couple of little tidbits on the House of Wolves and what's to come, hopefully. So this is what Deej had to say. He basically said that the House of Wolves is going to be released in the second quarter of this year. So second quarter of this year, let's see, January, February, March. So April would be the earliest month that would be released in, and then June would be the latest. So either way, we are going to have to wait at least a month, or at the most maybe 2 or 3 months. Who knows? But that's the update we were given. Deej basically said that we'll have new adventures to embark upon with you sometime in the second quarter. All other details for now are being kept under wraps. There's a special team at Bungie dedicated, to creating some new fun ways for us to play Destiny. Well, we've been hearing that since day one, so I take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, so at least we do have a soft kind of release date for House of Wolves, which can allow us to have some conversation about it. And, like I said yesterday in my commentary, my thoughts really haven't changed much. My thing is, if we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for this DLC, then, we still are going to need a major PvE content update that's free. Whether they bring back the Queen's Wrath, whether they add some more quests to Eris, I'm not sure what they're planning on doing, if they're planning on doing anything at all. But for me personally, I'm not going to speak for any other gamers, but I really feel like Destiny needs a huge boost in the arm on the PvE side. There's plenty to do with PvP. There's plenty of PvP maps. There's plenty of PvP games right now, though I do think they desperately need some more game modes. They've had Iron Banner 4 times, so PvP has definitely gotten their fill of activities and support from Bungie. So I would really like to see something for the player versus enemy side added without having, just everything be about the raid. Because that's what everybody always says. Oh, you got to play the raid. You got to do the raid. You got to do that. Do the raid. Play the raid. That's your PvE content. Well, honestly, if that's all there is to play in the game, it's such a very small part of the game again, and I don't see how people just don't get bored running it over and over and over again. I really wish there was more story content. I wish there was more story lore in the game. Just in general, because we all know the story has been the most criticized thing of this game, and I know we keep talking about it, but I'm hoping if we keep talking about it, we'll eventually be listened to. But I don't know. But anyways, I definitely want to see something happen in the game where they're going to bring in a nice content update for us, because I go back to before the game was launched. Bungie did say they planned on updating the game and supporting the game with free content updates, whether daily or weekly. They said they didn't know at the time, but they definitely had planned on doing it. And we saw early on, we got the Queen's Banner right after release, or the Queen's Wrath, I'm sorry, not the Queen's Banner, I think Iron Banner. But we got the Queen's Wrath, right after release, and it was, at first it was kind of, it was kind of nice, but then everybody kind of realized, well, it's just doing different bounties, and it's another reputation grind all over again, which is the last thing this game needs, because there's just so much grind right now, and not enough story. And basically, my typical day on Destiny now is I log in, I run my bounties, I run a couple of strikes, and then I just get bored. Because it's the same thing over and over that I've been doing, since September. And unfortunately for me, there's just no other games right now that are out that have my attention. I do want to try Dragon Age Inquisition. I just haven't had the time to take a look at it. And, Destiny at its core is very fun to play. It's got great game mechanics. It's got great gunplay. It's awesome to play with your friends. But that's really it. I mean, there's no actual other reason to play the game as much as I have. I don't know why. I heard a lot of people have said this about Destiny. Destiny is the game we all love to kind of hate on, but we also still love to still play it. And I think it's because a lot of us see the potential that's here. And again, we use that word a lot with Destiny, potential. Whether or not they're going to realize the potential they've got with this game, with this universe, is yet to be seen. But so I don't know. They need to do something. They need to, whether if it's bring back the Queen's Wrath with it revamped with some actual story missions in the game instead of just doing bounties and then getting level 24 epic bounty missions. that give us, legendary gear like they did last time. Or what I think they should do is give Eris a few more quests. I really think Eris is being underutilized. There's really not a lot to do with her besides another daily bounty and reputation grind. I'd love to see Eris have more interaction in the game. It was actually very enjoyable to use her through the couple of story quests we got with the Dark Below. But again, I just feel like after you get through that initial set of quests, there's really nothing else to do with her, and that's only maybe an hour or two worth of content. I wish they would add in some more things like, the quest we got from Zur, where we bought the urn and we had to go through a few steps, and then we got a pair of legendary gauntlets from Eris, whether, for whatever class you were playing in the game. That was really cool, and that's something they could do more of, and I don't know why they haven't, but I would really like to see something like that. Like, for example, if you look at the Husk of the Pit, which is it's a common weapon that drops off the hive enemies, and people have been trying to farm it. They can't seem to. Some people get it right away. Some people try to farm for days and don't get it to drop. And it's funny because I spent a couple hours trying to grind for it when it first came out, when it was first patched in, and didn't get any of them. Couldn't get it to save my life. I just come over to get it to upgrade it and check out the legendary version of it, and just never got it to drop. Then all of a sudden, like in the last week, I think I've had 4 or 5 of them drop alone from hive enemies. So it's just RNG at work again. But rather than it be RNG and have it cause, so much frustration for the people who actually want to try to get the weapon and try it out, I think they ought to add it as a quest to Eris. You would do a 2 or 3 mission story quest, and through that mission you would like acquire the Husk of the Pit. Maybe you retrieve it from like a hive tomb or something on the moon. That'd be really kind of neat. Or maybe it's someone from Eris's fire team used the weapon and it was left behind and they want to try to retrieve it. And when you get it, it's just a Husk of the Pit. It's not the full-blown weapon, and then you've got to do another quest to get the material to upgrade the gun so that it's the working legendary. And then obviously the last step is to get the Crux of Crota from the hard mode Crota raid. And if you made the first 2 steps to get the legendary weapon, actual story quests in the game, you would just build up so much of that lore. You would build up some, to the story, to doing the raid, and it would be really kind of a neat linear way to do, that little aspect of Eris's quests and lore. That'd be pretty cool. Now, whether or not that's an idea they have, I don't know. That's just an idea I kind of thought up. So anyways, I'm going to stop rambling on that. I think you guys pretty much know my stance is that the game definitely needs more content for us to play. As it stands right now, there's just really not enough. And I don't see how people aren't bored with this, just playing the same raids over and over again. If that's all there is to do PvE side, which it seems to be all anyone focuses on. So I'm going to go ahead and get off that topic, but the next topic that came up in the news update is that there are going to be some weapon changes, and we know what happens every time, everybody's screaming, oh god, nerfs, and, don't nerf my favorite gun, and all this other stuff, but Bungie is definitely looking at that again, and if you guys are auto rifle fans, well, prepare to be upset again, because your auto rifles are getting nerfed, and that's great for me. I'm using Vanquisher right now, and I've just got Suros Regime last week, so unfortunately I'm not going to get to enjoy it very long since they are dropping another nerfs on auto rifles. Now these updates are not live yet. They're going to be coming out with update 1.1.1, but I will go over some of the changes and also link to they did a separate article for the weapon updates, and I'll link to that down below here in a minute. So let's see here. Let me just get my bearings real quick. Get rid of these vandals and go do some more patrol missions on the other side of Venus here. So anyway, so they have the article, and it states we're going to talk about auto rifles first. It's our goal for auto rifles to be a visceral, close to medium range chainsaw. It should reward target tracking and drop in effectiveness at longer ranges. And they're looking at some DPS numbers and some other things. They said the auto rifle is the most lethal primary class across all of Destiny's activities. And so they talk about Suros a little bit, some other stuff. But anyways, let's get to the meat and potatoes here. Their new goals for this weapon update. Auto rifles should be optimal at close to medium range. Damage, stability, and range are going to be tuned so that players desire stability for reliable close quarters damage, or range for better accuracy at a distance. So what that sounds like to me is they're going to basically be taking away some of the range benefits that these weapons have. If you guys use Suros, then you know it can be used from a long way away across the map. It's definitely a good medium to long range weapon. Well, I don't think that's what they really want auto rifles to be. So it sounds to me like they're going to try to knock the range down, probably knock the stability down a little bit too, and they're going to try to make auto rifles less of an option at longer ranges. Most of this update stems from the fact that pulse rifle users have really been, kind of talking about how we can buff pulse rifles, and that's the main reason a lot of these other weapons are getting looked at. So here are the changes that they're going to be bringing into auto rifles. The base damage is going to be reduced by 2.5%. It doesn't sound like much. They did a similar, I believe, reduction the last time they nerfed auto rifles, and that's averaged across rate of fire. Higher rate of fire took less of a reduction than low rate of fire. So they're going to reduce the effective range value so that damage, fall off, and accuracy are a stronger factor in combat decisions. Which basically, that's what I was saying, is they're going to make them less viable at a long range. So they're going to kind of want you to use those scout rifles and pulse rifles. Range reduction is less severe in the higher stat value, so now your range stat is more critical to long distance engagements. So basically, you're not going to do as much damage at range. So that's going to affect weapons like Suros Regime, like the Vanquisher, the higher impact weapons. Your range drop off at which you can take people down really quick is going to probably come down immensely. So that appears to be everything for the auto rifles. Now let's see what else. Now pulse rifles is what they're going to talk about next. And we know, personally myself, I don't feel like pulse rifles are a very viable weapon in the game. I've still wanted to try to get Red Death to try to use it. But here's what they're going to talk about with pulse rifles. Pulse rifle should be the optimal weapon at medium range, but can still effectively harass enemies at close or long range distances. Rate of fire sets a pace for players to both track moving targets and then deliver precision damage in bursts. So it sounds to me like they want to make the pulse rifle a better all-around gun. Now how they're going to go about that, they are going to increase the base damage of pulse rifles by 9.7% so that DPS is now more in line with all the other primaries. So pulse rifle users, you are getting a damage buff, so you'll do more damage. None of your other stats are being affected, so pulse rifles altogether are going to become better, I'm hoping and guessing. Now, whether or not this is going to make everybody run out and use a pulse rifle, who knows? Because the last time that the weapons were adjusted, or nerfed, as a lot of people like to say, the auto rifles supposedly took a big hit, but still everyone and their sister uses auto rifles in the Crucible, and overall in PvE, they just seem to be a very effective weapon. I prefer hand cannons, they're one of my favorites, but I have 3 auto rifle. I have Hard Light, I have Vanquisher, and I have Suros Regime, and they're all excellent weapons. The only auto rifle I have that I really don't use is Silimar's Wrath, which you can see right here. This was a rank 5 Iron Banner reward that I bought and instantly regretted because it's just a terrible gun. It's terrible. I'm still leveling it up. It'll do some commentary on it, but it's not very good. But auto rifles, for the most part, even after their initial nerf, were still a very viable and excellent weapon to use in the game. And seeing it's a 2.7% damage drop off, and maybe they're getting rid of the range stat a bit, I think auto rifles are still going to be used quite a bit. And then moving on to hand cannons. They say that hand cannons are intended to be the ideal weapon for precision-minded players on the move. Their goal is that they're ideal at a close to medium range. They reward calm hand that can pay shots under chaotic combat. The rounds hit like a truck, so you shouldn't need to fire fast to be effective. Interesting. So, right now they say hand cannons are working as advertised, but they're too effective at long range. Oh, come on, guys. Now that's really gonna it really ticked me off, since I like to use hand cannons. And I'm assuming this is probably from all the people that were complaining about Thorn being so hard hitting and a 2-shot kill at range, because Thorn is a very good weapon, but you also have to go through quite a bit of pain and suffering to get it. Let's see, we're finding players get very comfortable hanging back using hand cannon like a scout rifle or snipe. Yep, that sounds like me. With these new changes, you will still be able to hit targets at long range, but the shots need to be paced out and the damage will be lower until you close in on your target. So sounds like we're getting a nerf hand cannon users, whether you use Last Word or Thorn or Hawk Moon. I don't have PS4, so I'm not lucky enough to have the Hawk Moon. But whatever your favorite hand cannon is, it looks like it's not going to be as effective at long range, which kind of is a bummer for me because I'm holding in my hands the one I love the most, which is the Chance from Future War Cult. I use this in Crucible all the time. Absolutely love it. It's great for long distance kills. And I don't really think hand cannons need an adjustment in the Crucible, because to be honest with you, you've got to be really accurate to be good with them. And I think that's part of the problem with PvP games in general, is what happens is, you know, you go in there and you get killed by Thorn and you think you're getting killed too fast, and then you'll go out and you'll try to use Thorn, and then you're not very good with it because you're not very accurate. And then you immediately just start to, you know, say, oh, they got to nerf this gun because I get killed with it all the time. What people don't really understand is that it does take a lot of skill to use a hand cannon. You know, it's not just an auto rifle where you spray and pray, or, you know, at long range. You know, a hand cannon does require some accuracy. And you got to place your shot, because, you know, I'll be honest, as a hand cannon user in the Crucible, if you miss a couple of you're dead. There's just no chance. If you go up against a guy with a pulse rifle or a scout rifle or an auto rifle, I mean, you're toast. If you miss any shots at all, you're not gonna make it. Now, scout rifle, you might have a better chance, but the other weapons, they're just gonna take you down so fast. It's just not. You don't have a chance. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I agree with. I never really thought there was a problem with hand cannons or scout rifles, to be honest, because I find both of them to be effective at being good one-shot, accurate, you know, accuracy-heavy weapons. So anyways, let's see what they're talking. Hand cannons. Hand cannons should be optimal at a medium range. Hand cannons are optimal when shots are paced, becoming less effective when fired quickly. See, that sounds to me like they're talking about the last word, because the fire rate on the last word and Thorn is just, it's ridiculous. You can get off a lot of shots in a hurry. But again, I don't think either of those weapons, you know, last word, you got to get up close to be effective with it, and at that point, you're putting yourself at risk to shotguns and fusion rifles. Thorn is definitely, you know, a quick hitter, but like I said with Thorn, you have to really work hard to get Thorn. It's a tough exotic bounty to pick that weapon up. It's not like everyone can just go out and get it. So, as I said with the Vex Mythoclast, even though I didn't agree with it making people gods in the Crucible just from getting the weapon in PvE, if you work that hard to get something, you should get a decent reward out of it, and you should get something to show for it. And, you know, I've faced many Thorn users in the Crucible. I've taken them down with my chance. I've taken them down with a scout rifle. It's just a high skill weapon, and people do get killed a lot by it because you run into very highly skilled players who have it, and that can be very frustrating. I understand that. It happens to me all the time, but still, if I get killed by someone with Thorn, I tip my hat, because, you know, normally I'm getting shot with a fusion rifle, or I'm getting taken out with an auto rifle from long range, like with Suros or something else. So if somebody takes me out with a hand cannon, more power to them. I'm happy to see different guns being used. I like to see hand cannons being used, and I'm hoping with this supposed nerf to hand cannons, as it seems they're talking about, to make them less effective when fired quickly, you know, I hope it doesn't discourage people from trying hand cannons in the Crucible, because they are an excellent weapon. So here is what they want to do. They want to reduce the effective range of hand cannons. I don't agree with that at all, but whatever. Damage fall-off starts closer to the shooter, and follow-up shots are less accurate at long ranges. Slight reduction to initial accuracy. This is unnoticeable at close to medium range, but underscores the range intentions when used from far away. So again, they're just making us. We're gonna have to get closer, basically, to get kills with the hand cannon, is what they're saying, which is great. So if they're gonna make us get closer, they're gonna give us a penalty to firing faster, which is overall gonna hurt our effectiveness when we're up in those close ranges against fusion rifles and shotguns. Interesting. And again, not sure I'm real happy with that news. I don't think hand cannons are a problem at all. But anyways, let's move on to fusion rifles. This is a hot topic in the community. Everybody either loves them or hates them, or there's no middle ground with fusion rifles. And that's exactly what they say. Fusion rifles are one of the most contentious weapons in PvE right now. They haven't been touched since Destiny launched, and it's been great to watch the community adapt these weapons and understand how to use them effectively. I don't think I agree with that either, but currently they're the most hotly unliked weapon to be killed by. On the other end of the feedback spectrum, they're supremely satisfying guns to kill with. And that's exactly what I was saying. People either love them or they hate them. There is really no middle ground with where you stand on the fusion rifle issue. It is pretty easy to find and build a fusion rifle that can push the range limits and land one-hit kills or massive damage from far away. Yep, I've been saying that for a long time. The two fusion rifles I have ridiculous range. They can take enemies out from a long way away. Okay, so let's see what else. The Crucible is not difficult to depend on a steady stream of special ammunition, so players rarely have to pick and choose the right time to use this weapon. Another thing that a lot of us in the community have been saying since September. Changes will address these issues and leave overall feel and function of fusion rifles intact. So, what they're going to do. Goals. Fusion rifles will be optimal at mid-range where targets are easier to track, but they are not close enough to attack while you charge up. They will require combat foresight and the ability to predict a target's movement to use successfully. Okay, that pretty much sounds how they are right now. Changes. Blast pattern on a fusion rifle burst cone is going to be a little wider. Close to medium range volleys are largely unaffected, but at a distance the projectiles are less likely to land hits on a single target. This reduces reliability of landing a one-hit kill at far range. Well, I do like the sound of that. What else do we go on? Okay, initial starting ammo is going to be reduced across all ammo statistics. This is a change that primarily affects the Crucible. When you start a Crucible match, you'll have less fusion rifle ammo in reserve. In PvE activities, we persistently track your ammo. We only use initial ammo values if you're logging in for the first time or starting a Crucible match. Very, very interesting. So you're going to start off with less ammunition for a fusion rifle in the Crucible. Now, have been pulled in to help eliminate long distance Guardian one-shots. We've also seen that Crucible ammo economy allows for players to use shotguns with wild abandon, so like the fusion rifle where they're making a reduction to initial okay, good. So they're going to nerf it for both fusion and shotgun users. I wonder if they're going to do that for sniper rifles now, because again, if they're just going to do it for 2 out of 3, you're giving the people that camp and snipe the whole match a big advantage in getting that special ammunition. Alright, so their goals for the shotgun. The shotgun, it needs to be the most optional choice at a very close range. It should complement melee attacks and other close quarters class builds, sort of like the Warlock melee shotgun build. Offensively closing on an enemy with a shotgun is risk-reward timing. Okay, so changes that are coming. Increase the damage by 2 times, 100% against all non-Guardian combatants. So that's basically anything in PvE. That's going to be any of your alien races, anything you're going up against. So shotguns are getting a buff. They're going to basically do double damage that they do now. Personally, I don't think that's too huge. I'm still going to use a fusion rifle. I'm still going to use a sniper rifle in PvE. It's just still more effective. Reduce high-end range values. Damage fall-off will start sooner, so Crucible players with long-range shotguns will need to be a little closer for successful one-hit kills. Oof. So shotgun range is getting another nerf. This will be the second nerf shotgun range has had. I don't think that's fair, because shotguns already don't really have a great range on them. You do have to, I used to complain about shotgun users, but really you have to be very close. You have to take a lot of risk reward to get a kill with a shotgun, and I realized that I'm just not very good with a shotgun, and I shouldn't, cry about it since I'm not good with it. I should let those people that are good with it play with them and have that fun. I don't think shotguns need a range nerf. That seems to be kind of counterproductive. They've already nerfed range once on the shotguns. So, like the fusion rifle, initial starting ammunition will be reduced across all ammo starts in the Crucible. You'll have less shotgun ammo in reserve. Okay, same thing for PvE. They'll persistently track your ammo. So that's interesting, guys. So scout rifle, sniper rifle, heavy machine gun, rocket launcher. For the most part, these weapons have not been changed as part of this update. However, changes to the Destiny arsenal mean that untouched weapons may now seem different in side-by-side comparisons. You may discover new reasons to start using some of these weapons as part of your combat strategy. Okay. So, that is pretty much it for the update. So, fusion rifle guys, shotgun guys, you guys are getting hit a little bit. Auto rifles the same. Seems like pulse rifles are, having no changes other than more damage. I don't know if that's going to effectively make people use more pulse rifles. Personally, I feel the fire rate on pulse rifles is part of the problem. Hand cannons are getting a nerf. Auto rifles are getting a nerf. Shotguns are getting another range nerf. So basically, this is another case of Bungie telling us these are the guns we want you to use. This is how we want you to play our game. Don't develop your own playstyle with your favorite weapon. Great. So, as a hand cannon user, I'm not too thrilled about this, and I'm sure shotgun players are not going to be too thrilled about getting another range nerf. Auto rifles, like I said, I don't think it's really going to affect them because Suros Regime and guns like that are just way too good. Even with a 2.7% drop off in some of the statistics, that's not going to really mean much. A lot of the maps are very close quarters in the Crucible, so I think you're still going to see auto rifles as the primarily used weapon. It seems like they are going to do a little bit to fix the fusion rifles, but like I said, I don't agree at all with that ammunition change. If you're going to make special weapons start off with less ammunition, you have to do it for all three special weapons. You can't just do it for shotguns and fusion rifles and let the sniper people have all the ammo they want to just sit back on maps like Sky Shock and snipe the whole time. They need to just, this is, I hate to be this critical, but seems to be typical, Bungie response since this game has been out. They don't directly address the problem. They just try to kind of, pussyfoot around it and try to solve it some other way, and it usually backfires and creates backlash in the community. All they have to do to really, I agree, fusion rifle range needs a little bit of an adjustment, but they don't need a huge nerf. They just need to be less effective at, sniper range and long distance range where you're using a scout rifle or something, because they can reach that far across the map. Just adjust the range on them. There's no need to do an ammunition nerf from the start. Take that away from everyone, not just two different special weapon type users. I just don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video before I get off and start ranting again. I don't know. It seems that Bungie, on one hand, they want to make some adjustments. It seems that they do listen, but then the way they go about it just seems to be completely random. And I don't know if they're really trying that hard to fix some of the problems in the game sometimes. Because, hand cannons don't need any adjustments. Shotguns don't need another range nerf. And then the changes they're proposing to auto rifles really are not going to make people stop using them. So, I don't know. We'll see how this update works out. We'll see what happens. But this is Techno Viking 23. I'm going to sign off from the Cosmodrome here. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll link to both articles down below so you can go check those out and leave your own comments on the forums. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again next time.